Now from Atlanta News First Plus, this is Sports Tonight.
Welcome into your Sports Tonight. Bailey Burmaster along Lee Smith. Happy Halloween.
Let's go.
Lee's a football player. I'm surprised you could squeeze that big old head.
I'm not going to lie, it's pretty tight in here. It's pretty tight in
Are
here.
you losing blood flow back there?
A little bit. That's all right.
It looks
that's
a little
what we do.
red.
We're dedicated
but
here.
That's what we do all week. We have been talking Halloween with Atlanta United.
Yes.
We have been talking Halloween with the Falcons. I want your favorite Halloween costume,
Ooh.
favorite candy, and then candy corn. Yay or nay?
Okay, so
Go.
First off, favorite costume.
Okay, I'm gonna
Favorite
eat
costume
candy
I've
while we
ever
do this.
favorite costume I've ever worn. I went as the Brawny Man one year. I had the red flannel. I had the tight jeans rolled up
That
with some
makes sense.
boots, and I had toilet paper, obviously. It was awesome. Looked good. And then favorite candy is going to be Reese Cups. And then let's see, candy corn is it's a no for me.
Okay.
It's not my favorite. Like I'll do it in very, very, very small doses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two of my favorite Halloween costumes. One was when my parents picked because I was too young.
Yeah.
And that would be, I was an M&M. Our whole family was an M&M. And I was a little red M&M that I would just like shuffle around.
Like waddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
So it was cute.
Yeah.
The other one would be, I remember, I think I was in 7th or 8th grade, I wanted to be a rock star. And so my dad custom made my Halloween costume with his old denim, with metal and paper clips. And at the time I thought it was really lame, but now I know it's actually pretty cool.
Actually,
candy.
you know what? I'm going to change my answer. My father-in-law one year went as, he went as a knight from Monty Python.
Oh, amazing.
Metal and like wrapped it and like had to paint it. It was awesome.
That's amazing.
So shout out. father-in-law.
Candy, I also like Reese's Cups. I love Starburst.
Yeah, I like. So if I'm going like non-chocolate,
Yeah.
I like Skittles and Starburst.
I do like Skittles.
Yeah.
I do like Skittles. Candy corn is a yay for me. Another question. We talked to Falcons Grady Jarrett, who says he hates chocolate, has never had it. He said he tried it once when he was really young, but then never again. I think there's something wrong with that man. I think we should check in on him.
Well, all he was trying to do is limit his bad calories, so when he's on the football field, he can perform at maximum effort. You know.
But then we talked to Brad Guzan, and he said he loves chocolate and
He's
candy,
like everything.
and he's also very
He loves
fit.
everything. I mean,
So, excuses.
who doesn't like chocolate? Come on,
That's
man.
what I'm saying.
At least a little bit.
It's a little weird.
At least a little bit.
We have a lot to get to besides Halloween here on Sports Tonight.
Yep.
Let's start with this. The Atlanta Vibe schedule has officially been released, Lee. You went to a few of their games last year. Tell the people what they are in for if they can make it out there.
Look, biggest, coolest thing to me is when you go to the game, you can rent a couch. I think it's like $50 for a match, I think. But you can rent a couch behind the court, and you get like ground level action. It is great stuff. It's catered, and it is just it's a fun atmosphere in general because.
Well, volleyball is quick and fun if you haven't watched
is.
it. So it is something worth tuning into. It's not something that's going to last 4 hours.
Very energetic.
Yep.
It's over quick. You get a lot done in the time you're there.
The rallies are a lot of fun.
Everyone has fun in general.
They do. They do. So here's what they got. Things get kicked off in January 10th. That is on the road for their first two, and then they're home for the next three. A lot of matches in February, a good bit in March, and then they will end in May on May 4th against the Omaha Supernovas. The teams are also, the names are amazing. How about San Diego Mojo? Love that. Vegas Thrill, that's a good one because, you know.
Ooh, thriller.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But we'll keep you all updated on the Atlanta Vibe as they get into their second full season. But let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons. Spent some time out there yesterday.
Yep.
They are facing the Dallas Cowboys at the Benz on Sunday. This Cowboys team isn't really the Cowboys team of Team Pass. They are really bad at rushing the ball, like extremely bad, which basically leaves it up to Dak and CeeDee Lamb to figure it out. and they haven't quite been in sync like they have in the years past.
No. Dak doesn't look like the quarterback he has been.
And he just got that massive extension before the season started.
Yeah, he's gotten paid too. So I don't know. Good luck if you're the Cowboys trying to salvage the season. But CeeDee Lamb he performs like his top 5 receiver. So you have pieces, but I have no idea how they gel better as a team. I mean, they just look like discombobulated from the start, and it has not gotten any better really.
Some of the big talking points where the Atlanta Falcons are concerned, obviously their pass rush has been really, really bad. One of the worst, if not the worst in the league, especially with quarterback pressure. They didn't get any pressure on Baker Mayfield in Tampa. So they're looking to change that around. Trade deadline is coming up. They could maybe make some moves. I think one of the hot commodities is the Browns, Zadarius Smith, who also spent time with the Packers and with the Ravens. He's someone who's pretty good at getting to the quarterback, and he has a nice little spicy personality, if you will, that they might enjoy on defense. So the pass rush is something to pay attention to. Drake London and Darnell Mooney, each with 500 yards, and they're busting out. Bijan Robinson is now notched into the top 5 running backs, I'm pretty sure. So offensively, things are moving and grooving. A lot of people talked about Kirk Cousins and his leadership, the no cap. We walk into your trap, take over your trap.
That was that was something.
I'm not a fan of it.
That was something.
I think it's a little.
Hey, look, you know what? If it gets team motivated and they don't have a problem with it, then you know what?
I guess
Let's
if
go.
you're winning, you're winning. But we did get out to Flowery Branch on Wednesday. Let's hear from quarterback Kirk Cousins and Drake London.
Turn the page now, as you always do. Dallas coming in. I played Dallas in 20, 21, and 22, and hadn't beat them. So I beat them in 19, but not 20, 21, 22. So understand the challenge that it is to play them, and back home we want to play well in front of our fans. So good challenge for us, and got to have a good week of prep to be ready to go.
One easy one first. Coach Zach wasn't familiar with the work of Mr. Bankroll Fresh.
Bankroll Fresh? Oh, he wasn't?
Yeah, he was not familiar.
I can educate him. He can listen to it on the way home after he listens to a voice memo.
Kind of one of the subplots here is Coach Mike was here in 2007 as the coordinator in the
Yes, right.
Season.
Yep.
Kind of went sideways that year, but then you all were together for 4 years up there, and he said on Monday, he told him well, hey, Kurt knows me too,
Yeah.
And, so that's going to be, that was 4 years together. Is there some information there that may be helpful for you or him?
I think that'd be kind of overrated, if you will. I think his scheme is so sound, and I don't think there's much you can extract there. He's been around the leagues for so long and is so respected, and has had a scheme that gives people problems for so long that I don't think there's too much that by having worked together would make much difference.
So the Bankroll Fresh there. Please,
Yeah.
where you first, the origin story of this, where did you first learn it? And
Yeah.
It's become kind of like one of the calling cards of this team.
Well, I didn't know it is that. I didn't know it's a calling card of the team. I kind of am insulated, so I don't know quite what our calling card is on the outside. But when I was in Minnesota, people would say it, like I was saying a few weeks ago, and then I think it came up standing right here maybe a couple weeks ago. I'm not even sure why it came to mind. And then our next away game was Tampa, and that was kind of the feeling, and so one thing leads to the next. Sometimes you just black out, and if it's a calling card, then so be it.
We fight, we scrap, we fight, no cap.
Something like that. Yeah, it was something like that. I don't know, but we'll see if we bring it back out.
Where does that come from? Is that in the moment? Is that something that
Probably from 5th grade English, just trying to find words that rhyme, and having enough self-awareness to know what wouldn't go over well and what might, but it's a work in progress.
maybe it resonates the trap line because he was an Atlanta rapper.
Yeah, I'm actually not well versed enough to kind of know, like, oh, we'll stick to our Atlanta lyrics only. But that is certainly serendipitous.
It was a happy accident.
It's certainly a happy accident, very serendipitous to have it work out that way. The key is that you win. You know, it's not a great lyric if you're saying it and then you lay an egg on the road. So it always goes back to playing football well and winning.
It's part of that, Kirk. Like we saw the video of you saying that, like in the tunnel, about to run out, and we just see it on NFL films. It's a lot of like, let's go out there and kick some butt and stuff like that. Was part of it getting guys loose? I mean, doing that.
Yeah, I think it's all the above. I think it's trying to find that extra edge. I think it's trying to feel like we're in this together. We're doing something together, and we're not out there alone. I think it's understanding and putting a smile on people's faces. I think it's all the above, and you're trying to tap into all of it.
Kurt, can I ask you what your teammates' reaction was when you took off running on that play?
When I took off running, I don't know. You know, you'd have to ask them. They were probably going, uh-oh. But when I got up, you know, I was very well received. You know, I think the guys in the huddle, they always appreciate feeling like you're not just a quarterback, but you're a football player. And you know, I think the Moonies of the world, sometimes they'll say, like, hey, make sure you get down, you know. So, but the reality is, I didn't know this when I was talking to you all post-game, is Ray was wide open. So there's a little bit of like, yeah, it's great that I ran, but again, if I'm just going through my progressions, if I hit Ray, we get a much better play out of Ray running than me running. So that's where you say, that's why you're a progression passer, is because as much as running is nice and all and may get attention, kicking it down to Ray there is a better play, bigger gain, and so it just reminded me again why being a progression passer works.
Zach has talked so much about how good you are as a progression passer. How much do you feel like that's kind of evolved even since being here in Atlanta?
Yeah, I think you know, some of it's just, you know, the position I'm put in as far as the scheme and what we're kind of hanging our hat on. I think some of it is the fact that our protection is good enough to allow me to progress. Sometimes you would progress, but you don't have the time, and so. When you're protected as well as I was on Sunday, it enables you to get through progressions. And then, you know, it's kind of the way I've always played, is just trying to have field vision and tick through as quickly as I can. And it's never perfect. You know, sometimes you pass up an open guy, you know. Sometimes you know, you're too decisive, but keep trying to be as sharp as I can in that aspect.
Kirk, I believe yesterday, I don't know if anniversary is the right word, but you're tearing your Achilles.
Was it yesterday? Yeah.
So,
Interesting, yeah.
I mean, when you look back to where you are, or you look at where you are now, are you kind of surprised that it's been a year and where you are, and are you kind of proud of it, or I guess how's it make you feel when you think about it?
Just grateful for being back out on a football field and playing. Very grateful. And Grady came up to me before practice today, and he said, hey, you know, week 9, we both made it longer than we did last year, and gave me knuckles. And I said, you're right. I said, I hadn't even thought about that now it's week 9. We've kind of turned the page beyond where you and I were last year at this time. I was probably getting operated on a couple of days, probably had just my foot in a cast, you know, for now at this time last year. So grateful for all the people, you know, both with the Vikings and with the Falcons, who have helped, you know, get me back. And certainly was, you know, they told me when I did it that it's like the stock market. There's going to be days where you feel like, oh, this is going to be great, this is easy, we're going to be great, and then you may go a week or two where you feel like you're getting worse or not getting any better, but the general trend is up and to the right, and so that's kind of what it's been. But it has been a somewhat of a bumpy up and to the right, and you had to kind of navigate those bumps as we went.
You guys appreciate that he takes in the Atlanta culture and tries to bring that into a huddle or a saying or a phrase that he can use to kind of add some juice to this team?
We love it. I'm not an Atlanta native, so when I came in, I was learning some of the terminology, but I think he's taking it to the next level, and that's just the person who he is and the leader he is. He wants to immerse himself in every way possible he can to understand players, to understand the city, understand the fans. So I think he's doing that and doing a great job at it.
Drake, when you have a quarterback who really puts so much effort in, you know, the QB sneak running around like crazy, when you see a guy like Kirk do that, what does that do for offensive players?
It gives us a sense of urgency, a sense of hope. I don't know how to really explain it, but to see him go out there and scramble like that, especially on a huge third down, I don't know how many pump fakes he threw, but it's really, really cool to see, and happy to see him doing that. I was really, really turned up when he did that.
Anyone make some jokes at him, like, hey, you got some wheels, man, you look pretty fast out there?
Yeah, when we watched the film back, it almost looked like he got shot for a second when he got tackled. So it was kind of funny, but I mean, shoot, he did his job, and to see him out there running like a gazelle was good.
But what does it mean to be, like, to have the guys that you have, like a Jesse Bates and AJ Terrell, who they say, like, you know, their job is just to make sure they get the ball in the offense's hands?
We're saying the same thing to them. We're trying to get the ball in the box so, you know, they don't have to stay out on the field so long, and you know, maybe if we go 3 and out quick, you know, we're not trying to do that so they can save their breath and make those type of plays that they do all the time, you know. So it's kind of like a two-way street in that sense, and we appreciate that a ton.
Did you hear about the no crash out crew? I think it was no crash crew that they have.
The crash out crew?
Crash out crew. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So have you heard about it?
Yeah, I've heard about it. I mean, I went against them for I don't know how many months before, you know, they started introducing themselves to the league. But I love it, and their whole philosophy, ideology behind that is amazing. So I love it, and they got to keep on crashing out for us.
You and Rooney both have at least 500 yards receiving. What's it been like operating on the field with him and seeing him grow just as much as you?
Amazing. I mean, I learn every day from him. He sees stuff that I don't see. I see stuff that he doesn't see. But honestly, we're just working together. Really, we're on a tandem bike. Honestly, whatever we can do to make the team better, whatever we can do to, you know, make explosive plays or just make secure plays, we're definitely doing that, and we're trying to keep on reaching new heights every day.
What was your favorite Halloween costume as a kid?
My favorite Halloween, I had one of those. I wore this for like 3 years straight. Well, you know, like those blow-up ones, and it looks like you're riding on top of like well, mine was an ostrich, so I had that. Yeah, that was my favorite one. Favorite Halloween candy? I'm a big Charleston Chew guy. People don't usually have that, so I'll take a king size or whatever.
Candy corn, yay or nay?
Yay.
Ooh,
Hawks basketball is back.
Yeah.
You played ball back in, you know, your day. What do you think would be easier? I'm sure you've seen the debate going from the NFL to the NBA or NBA to NFL.
Neither. There's not. NBA to NFL, you got to think of physicality. Like, they think they're physical, but until you get hit by like a edge rusher or something, then they'll probably think a little bit different. From NFL to NBA, there's just a whole nother level of skill when it comes to having a string on the ball, guarding people and things like that, or defending people. So I don't think it's easy either way. It's really, really hard, and I think I've done it. Maybe there's people out there who are way better athletes than me and they can do it, but seeing it from firsthand, it's difficult to go either way.
Drake, we're 8 games in, so pretty good sample size for you, enough to get a good sense of where you're at. What do you feel like you've gotten better at this year?
A lot of things. I could go down a list of things, and I think honestly just the feel of the game is the thing that I'm getting better at. Having more understanding with my quarterback, with the OC, the integrity of plays, things like that, to make sure that just like you go out there and you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. If you got to slow this route down just for a concept, whatever it might be, I think that's where I've grown the most.
How fun is it
That's
to
all
be
we
able
have
to
time for today, guys. Sorry. Thanks.
All right, so from football to football.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Atlanta United with a must-win on Saturday at 7 at the Benz against Inter Miami and Messi. Their first game, game 1 of that series, was insane. Brad Guzan straight up kept them in that game.
Yes, he did.
You know, I don't want to say it wasn't a team effort because they did pull back to make it 1-1 and they were in that game, but they're not in that game without Guzan. Even Inter Miami's manager said so. He had a club playoff record of 8 saves in that game. He's been playing lights out. We got to speak with him leading up to Saturday's matchup.
Just crazy.
We talked about his play, how he feels at 40, what he took away from game 1, and what to expect in game 2. So
Doing this at 40.
40.
Crazy.
So let's hear what he had to say. Just how do you feel, mind, body, spirit?
Yeah, You know, I think individually I feel good. You know, individually feel really good. As a group, I think we feel good too. We feel confident, you know, coming off of game one down there. Obviously the ultimate result didn't go our way, but able to take some things from that game and hopefully correct and you know, improve in certain areas and give us that confidence to go into Saturday night.
I do want to talk about, you know, game two, this matchup, what we saw from game one, but I also want to talk about your play because you're playing at a really high level. At 40, how have you sustained that?
Yeah, we can cut out the 40 part, but no, it's, you know, I get asked that question, you know, quite regularly, and for me, it's, nothing's really changed in terms of my approach. You know, mentally, I still feel really sharp. You know, physically, I feel really sharp. It's probably tailoring certain things during the training week that allow me then to go and perform on a weekend or in a match day. And so that part for me, it's always been about, you know, the right attitude, the right mindset, and that's about competing. That's about pushing yourself to help the group, pushing yourself to get better individually, and you know, daily coming in and making sure you're doing what's required to not only go the next day, but then, like I said, be ready for the game day.
Is there anything you've tweaked, whether that's in preparation, rehab, you know, recovery, that you feel like has made a difference in the last couple of years?
I wouldn't say tweaked. I think it's been a really good conversation between myself and the goalkeeping coach and our sports science department. You know, Liam, our goalie coach, does a really good job of, you know, communicating to me, you know, what days are going to be more intense than others, what days are going to be like, hey, today it's a bit of a deload day for you in terms of your reps and your numbers, and making sure that, you know, it's just going to be, you know, it's going to be sharp, it's going to be clean in terms of what we're doing in training. And so having that open line of communication with him, he does a fantastic job of knowing when to, you know, to push me, and that, you know, requires on days when I'm not feeling it right, and you know, there's going to be those days, and he then is able to push me and say, no, listen, we need to do this work, we need to get after it today, and I'm going to let you know. You know, it's not one of these where he lets me off the hook, you know, because I am a senior player. He holds me accountable, and for those reasons, I'm really appreciative of how we go about our daily business.
You've been around this club for a long time. You don't need me to tell you there's been a lot of adversity this year. I feel like as media, we kind of beat you over the head of it. But for you personally, and then as a team, what was the hardest obstacle this year? Whether it was losing Gonzalo or players being dished somewhere else, or, you know, even with your connection with Carlos, him ultimately not being with the club anymore. What was the hardest part for you, and then what was the hardest part for the team?
I think for me, it goes hand in hand with the team aspect. Mm-hmm. You know, you talk about my relationship with Carlos. Obviously, my relationship with him doesn't change, right? We were friends before Atlanta United. We'll continue to be friends afterwards. We've both been in this business a long time to understand this is the business that we've chosen in terms of professional sports, and that part, it is what it is. You talk about, you know, Gonzalo, right, and managers, especially managers, right? When a team's not doing well, it's normally the first person that the spotlight's going to turn to, and they're going to look to make a change from a club standpoint. And so for me, individually and collectively, I think it's about the players, it's about the group, it's about the team. It has to be about that, and if it's not, then I think it becomes a real problem. But when you lose the players that we lost, especially because in Major League Soccer, the transfer windows don't line up with transfer windows in other countries. And so when players are able to leave and then you're not able to replace those players, it becomes really difficult to then go into game day situations short, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players that normally you would count on to be you know, a big key of our success in the plan moving forward. And so when they then leave, it becomes that much more difficult.
You talked about after game one that this is the proudest moment you had been of this team's fight and rally. I mean, Stian goes down, Brooks goes down. Somehow you guys are able to remain in that game. what does that say at this point in the season? There's still fight left in the tank.
Yeah, I think it speaks volumes about our resiliency. It speaks volumes about our character, the willingness to just work hard, and especially, you know, when we're faced, you know, right up against it. You know, we continue to push forward and I say this word loosely, but try, right? It would be easy for a group of players to say, right, we lost this guy to an injury, we've had to change formations, we've had to make subs and changes, and it's only 10 minutes into the game. But I think it speaks about our character as a group and especially individually, to be able to then carry on and you know, one, get back in the game and make it 1-1. And then two, we weren't far off getting a result in terms of, you know, potentially making it 2-2. Whether you go to penalties or not, or we find a winner late on, that's why you play the game, right? And so there weren't many people going into this series that have given us an opportunity, given us a chance. And so to now be able to come back home and have 70,000, it's one we're looking forward to.
In that game one, Brooks, Dion, you end up having a hell of a game. When they leave, what is your mentality shift of like, we have to take this, I personally have to take this to another level because you had a playoff record, saves. What's going through your head in that moment as an athlete who's obviously a top tier caliber, who's just, okay, we got to take it another notch?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's about next man up, right? And so obviously we make substitutions for those two guys in terms of, you know, positionally and tactically we change things. But for me, going into the game, I knew, listen, Miami's a good team. They've got good players, of course. And so as a goalkeeper, I know that I need to be able to do my job, and that's try and keep the ball out of the back of the net, plain and simple. And when you break it down like that, it doesn't change anything that I've got to do or my approach, just because I'm already where I'm going to be at mentally in terms of how can I help the group, how can I help the team. So that part never really changed. It's obviously with the people in front of you, the system that we've changed to, those things obviously change. And then how we're going to play, what does that do for me when I have the ball at my feet or when we're trying to build or whatnot, right? So all the little things that maybe it affects me in those ways, but from my approach, it wasn't like, oh, I need to now play out of my head sort of thing. It's listen, I need to carry on doing my job and try and keep the ball out of the back of the net and hopefully give our guys in the attacking third an opportunity to go and win the game for us.
All right, so you can check out the second part of that interview tomorrow. We got about less than 2 minutes going on here. What's on your mind? I'll start with us. Angels land Jorge Soler from the Braves, and in return, the Braves will get right-handed pitcher Griffin Canning, who might be a fifth man option in the rotation if we're lucky.
Maybe.
Big maybe question mark. What about you? What you got?
Couple things.
Okay.
Number one, Dodgers win the World Series.
Go off, Shohei.
I mean, Freddie Freeman, though.
Unreal.
Freddie Freeman. Come on. Out of this world.
Unreal.
Just out of this world. Guess
Absolutely
what, guys?
unreal.
He could have been here, too. Just saying.
I think we all feel some type of way about that.
Yeah. Well, okay. And now, I just wanted to see, what was your preferred style of trick-or-treating? Did you go with a giant group of kids in the neighborhood? And if you did you go by yourself, or did you go in the pickup truck with a parent? Or
We got 40 seconds. I will say my dad used to decorate his pickup truck with hay and lights and music, and he would take all of my gaggle of friends and us around the neighborhood.
So like Pit My Rod, Halloween style?
Correct.
Nice.
Correct. What about you? You got 30 seconds.
Oh, I'm just walking around with friends.
Okay.
Luckily, we had like a gigantic cul-de-sac on both sides, so like we had one main road. We got past that, and we were like super safe.
Yep.
So just kids everywhere.
That exercise in. All right, that will do it for your spooky sports tonight on this Thursday. We'll have one more for you coming up tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Tune in.